Rain poured endlessly over the city the night Sophia Bennett stood alone beside the enormous bedroom window of their mansion, staring at the lights below. Behind her, the room looked perfect. Elegant cream-colored walls. Fresh white roses arranged carefully on polished tables. A glowing fireplace. Silk curtains that cost more than most people earned in months. Everything looked beautiful. Everything except the silence. Sophia closed her eyes for a moment as pain slowly tightened inside her chest again, the same pain she had carried for years. At 38, she had already learned how cruel hope could become. Doctors had promised possibilities. Specialists had offered treatments. Friends had said, "It will happen someday." But someday never came. And now the nursery at the end of the hallway remained untouched, frozen in time like a wound neither she nor her husband could bear to reopen. The small white crib still stood near the window. Tiny stuffed animals waited patiently on shelves. Children's books gathered dust beneath soft golden lamps. A room prepared for a child who never arrived. Sophia heard footsteps behind her. Daniel entered quietly, loosening his tie after another long day at work. At 42, he was one of the most successful businessmen in New York City. Newspapers admired him. Investors respected him. People envied the life he and Sophia seemed to have. But success could not protect a heart from loneliness. Daniel walked toward his wife slowly. "You're thinking about the nursery again," he said gently. Sophia tried to smile, but her eyes filled with tears instead. "I thought it would hurt less by now." Daniel wrapped his arms around her from behind, resting his forehead softly against her hair. "It hurts me too." For a long moment, neither of them spoke. Outside, thunder rolled across the dark sky. Inside that enormous mansion, the silence between them felt heavier than ever. Weeks later, Sophia was sitting alone in a quiet cafe when she noticed a little girl outside in the rain. The child could not have been older than 7. She stood beneath a broken bus stop roof wearing an oversized coat and holding a small stuffed rabbit against her chest. Her dark hair was wet from the storm, but she barely seemed to notice. What struck Sophia most were the girl's eyes. Not sad. Not angry. Just empty. Like someone who had already learned not to expect kindness from the world. Sophia watched as a woman hurried over and gently took the child's hand. An orphanage worker. Something inside Sophia shifted painfully. That evening she spoke to Daniel. "I want to visit the orphanage." Daniel looked at her carefully across the dinner table. "For adoption?" Sophia nodded slowly. "I know it won't magically fix everything," she whispered. "But maybe there's a child somewhere who needs us as much as we need them." Daniel reached across the table and held her trembling hand. "Then we'll go." 3 days later, they arrived at St. Mary's Children's Home. The building was old but clean, filled with faded walls, quiet voices, and the smell of soup drifting from somewhere down the hallway. Children played together in one room. Some laughed loudly. Some ran across the floor. Some barely looked up at all. Then Sophia saw her again. The little girl from the rain. She sat alone beside the window, hugging the same worn rabbit tightly against her chest while watching snowflakes drift outside. "She's been here almost 4 years, the director explained softly. "Her name is Lily." Sophia's chest tightened. What happened to her parents? The woman hesitated. Her mother passed away. Her father disappeared before that. Daniel noticed something immediately. Lily never once looked directly at the other children. As if she had already separated herself from everyone around her. Sophia approached slowly. "Hello, Lily." The girl looked up briefly before lowering her eyes again. Daniel crouched beside her carefully. "That rabbit seems very important." Lily's fingers tightened around the toy. "It belonged to my mom." Her voice was almost emotionless, but Sophia could hear the pain hidden underneath. "What's its name?" Daniel asked gently. Lily looked surprised by the question. Mr. Buttons. Daniel smiled softly. That's a good name. For the first time, Lily looked at him for longer than a second. Not with trust, but curiosity. Over the following weeks, Sophia and Daniel returned again and again. At first, Lily barely spoke to them. She answered questions quietly. Never smiled. Never asked for anything. If Sophia tried to touch her hand, Lily pulled away instinctively. If Daniel brought gifts, she thanked him politely but left them untouched. The orphanage director warned them carefully. She's afraid to become attached. Why? Sophia asked quietly. Because every time someone visits, the woman said sadly, the children hope they've finally found a family. And when people choose another child instead, it breaks them. Sophia cried in the car afterward. Daniel held her hand the entire drive home. We can't leave her there, Sophia whispered. We won't. The adoption process took months. Months of paperwork. Interviews. Home inspections. Legal meetings. And through all of it, Lily remained cautious. Even on the day they finally brought her home, she sat silently in the back seat clutching her backpack and rabbit tightly, staring nervously out the window. When they arrived at the mansion, Lily froze. The enormous house frightened her. The marble floors. The giant staircase. The chandeliers. The quiet luxury. Children from orphanages often dreamed of beautiful homes. But for Lily, it felt unfamiliar. Unsafe. Too temporary. Sophia showed her the bedroom they had prepared. Soft pink blankets covered the bed. Books lined the shelves. A small reading corner stood near the window. Stuffed animals waited carefully arranged beside pillows. Lily stood in the doorway without moving. You don't like it? Sophia asked nervously. It's too nice, Lily whispered. That night Sophia checked on her before bed. The room was empty. Alarm shot through her instantly until she found Lily curled up asleep beside the bed on the carpet floor. Sophia knelt beside her carefully. Sweetheart. Lily woke immediately, fear flashing across her face. I'm sorry, she whispered quickly. I can sleep downstairs if you want. Sophia felt her heart physically ache. No, no, she whispered tearfully. You never have to apologize for existing here. She carried Lily gently into bed and tucked the blanket around her. The little girl remained tense the entire time. Like someone waiting for kindness to suddenly disappear. Days slowly became weeks. Sophia learned that Lily hated loud voices. Daniel learned she secretly loved strawberry ice cream. She loved drawing birds. She was terrified of thunderstorms. She woke from nightmares almost every night. Sometimes she would stand silently outside Sophia and Daniel's bedroom door but never knock. One night Daniel opened the door and found her sitting there hugging her rabbit. Bad dream? He asked softly. Lily nodded. Daniel sat beside her on the floor. When I was little, he said quietly, I used to get scared during storms too. Lily looked surprised. You? Daniel smiled. Even adults get scared sometimes. After a long silence, Lily leaned slightly closer to him. Just slightly. But it felt like progress. Sophia began reading to Lily every night before bed. At first Lily listened silently from the far side of the mattress. Then gradually she moved closer. One evening, halfway through the story, Sophia felt something small touch her arm. Lily had fallen asleep holding onto her sleeve. Sophia cried quietly after leaving the room that night. She trusted me enough to fall asleep beside me, she whispered emotionally to Daniel. And still, fear remained inside Lily. Whenever Sophia or Daniel left the house, Lily became anxious. When are you coming back? How long? What if something happens? Sophia realized the little girl constantly expected abandonment. One afternoon Sophia arrived late picking Lily up from school because of traffic. Only 20 minutes late. But when she arrived, Lily sat alone on the front steps trembling with panic. The moment she saw Sophia, tears burst from her eyes. "You forgot me," she whispered brokenly. Sophia immediately pulled her into her arms. "No, sweetheart. Never." But Lily continued crying against her shoulder like a child reliving every moment she had ever been left behind. That night Sophia sat beside Lily's bed stroking her hair gently. "You don't have to earn our love," she whispered softly. "You already have it." Lily stared at her quietly. "Why?" Sophia blinked. "Why what? Why do you love me?" The question nearly destroyed her. Because Lily asked it like someone who truly believed love required conditions. Sophia cupped the little girl's face carefully. "Because you are ours now," she whispered through tears. "And we are yours." For the first time since arriving at the mansion, Lily hugged her first. Months passed. Spring slowly warmed the city. The cold mansion transformed completely. Laughter echoed through hallways. Crayons appeared on expensive tables. Tiny shoes rested near staircases. Cartoons played loudly on mornings that used to be silent. The servants adored Lily. The cook secretly baked her favorite cookies every Friday. The gardener taught her how to plant flowers. Even the strict housekeeper smiled whenever Lily ran through the halls laughing. The house no longer felt like a museum. It felt alive. But healing was never simple. Some nights Lily still cried quietly in bed. Some days she became distant for no reason. Sometimes she stared at family photographs in disbelief, as though she still could not understand how she had become part of one. Then came the night that changed everything. A terrible thunderstorm shook the city. Lightning flashed violently across the sky while rain crashed against the windows. Sophia woke to soft crying. She opened her bedroom door and found Lily standing there shaking in fear. The little girl's eyes were filled with tears. "Can I stay here tonight?" she whispered. Sophia immediately pulled her into bed between herself and Daniel. Lily curled beneath the blankets trembling. Then suddenly she whispered something so quietly Sophia almost missed it. "People always leave eventually." Daniel turned toward her carefully. "We're not leaving. My last foster family said that too." The room fell silent. Sophia felt tears stream down her cheeks instantly. Lily continued staring at the storm outside. "They gave me back after 3 months." Daniel closed his eyes painfully. Sophia held Lily tighter. "Listen to me," she whispered firmly. "You are not temporary to us." Lily finally looked at her. "We chose you," Sophia said softly. "And we will keep choosing you every single day." For several seconds Lily simply stared at them. Then suddenly years of fear broke apart inside her. She burst into tears and threw her arms around both of them desperately. Daniel held her tightly while Sophia cried into her hair. And for the first time, Lily truly allowed herself to believe she belonged. Summer arrived months later. One warm evening they sat together in the garden watching fireflies dance across the grass. Sophia laughed as Lily chased tiny glowing lights between the flowers while Daniel watched them both with quiet emotion. For years he believed wealth had given him everything. But this moment, this simple evening filled with laughter, meant more than every success he had ever achieved. Lily suddenly ran back toward them. Her cheeks were flushed from excitement. She climbed into Sophia's lap and looked nervous for a moment. Then softly, almost shyly, "Mom." Sophia froze. Tears instantly filled her eyes. Daniel looked away emotionally, swallowing hard. Lily turned toward him too. "Anne." "Dad?" Daniel's composure completely broke. He pulled Lily into his arms while Sophia cried beside them. The little girl laughed through her own tears as both of them held her tightly beneath the golden summer sky. And in that moment, the enormous mansion that once felt painfully empty finally became what it had always been missing. A home. Not because of wealth. Not because of perfection. But because three broken hearts had finally found each other.